The old man's hands trembled as he held the wooden spoon over the cookfire. Not from it alone, but from the phantom memory of violet flames that had once danced it without effort or consequence. Andrew Bachman stirred the themes to with deliberateness, watching steam call upward into the direction of the found a fire coefficient where he had once commanded respect with a gesture and reality with a whispered syllable. That tower was rubble now. A shiny broken promises scattered and flash. Rekindles. Master Bachman. The voice belonged to Franklin, a Hayutin boy of perhaps 12 years, whose dark eyes had too much knowing for someone so young. The orphan stood in the doorway, clutching a bundle of firewood against his chest like a shield. There's someone asking about you in the village, a merchant said he heard of I told me, Andrews the Titan. He had been so careful, to remain invisible this past 18 years. No demonstration of power, no healing of the sick, nothing that might draw attention or, worse, hope. Hope was a luxury the world could no longer afford from men like him. What did you tell him? Andrew asked, keeping his tone neutral. That you're just an old scholar. That you read books and kept to yourself. Franklin sat down the wood and moved closer to the fire, extending his hands toward its warmth. His fingers were still red from the cold the boys to wear the gloves Andrew had offered, insisting he needed to toughen up if he was going to survive in a world that had for weakness. A cinnamont Andrew understood all too well. The cavaliers of the dragon scales had shown no patience either when they came for the towers. Good lad, Andrew said quietly, ladling stew into two wooden bowls. Come, it's. Then we'll continue your lessons. Franklin's eyes brightened despite his obvious exhaustion. The boy had been living on the streets of Millhaven when Andrew found him 6 months ago, picking pockets with nimble fingers that showed remarkable dexterity. Those same fingers now traced practice glyphs in the air with vision. Though Andrew allowed him no actual magic yet. Era first. Always Jerry. Consequence, and restrained. They achieved companionable silence. The only sound is the crackling fire and the distant areas water still churning despite the building's abandonments. Andrew watched the void with focused intensity as someone who had known true hunger, and felt the familiar ash of responsibility settle around his shoulders like a weighted cloak. Master, Franklin ventured between bites. In the book you gave me ... it mentions the towers. All 7 of them. Were they really as magnificent as the stories say? Andrew's spoon paused halfway to his mouth. The question was innocent enough. But it opened doors. He had tried desperately to keep sealed. Still, if he was to teach Franklin properly, the boy needed to understand not just what magic could do, but what it has done. They were, Andrew admitted, setting down his bow. The violet tower rose 900 feet into the sky. Its stones cut from amethyst quarried beneath the singing mountains. When the sun struck it at dawn, the entire city of Tessamar would glow purple. Inside, 300 mages studied the formation of matter, the bending of natural law, the Gestapo himself. Recognizing the dangerous edge of pride creeping into his voice. We believe we were making the world better. That's just a fight any means of acquiring it. What happened? Though Andrew suspected the boy had heard fragments of the story already. Everyone had. The fall of the towers had reshaped the course. We forgot that power without wisdom is just cruelty wearing Arius hobbies, Andrew said. Stood, moving to the window, where he could see the lights of Millhaven twinkling in the distance. The Taurus competed for prestige, for royal patronage, for the right to claim they had discovered the deepest secrets of the arcane, the Blue Tower and the Violet Tower especially. We had a rivalry that went back centuries. He didn't mention Hilary Heather by name. Not yet. That was still fresh, even after all did. The Azure Tower's Grandmaster was a woman named under pause, forcing the name past the tightness in his throat. A woman who believed that magic gave us not just power, but just blue. That's the common folk needed guidance from those who could see further, think deeper. She wasn't entirely wrong, but he shook his head. When villages began disappearing, their populations conscripted into her experiments, the kingdoms finally took notice. Franklin had stopped eating. His bowl forgotten in his lap. The Cavaliers. Why the word came out harsher than we intended. King Radwick of Calendar formed them first, an elite order of knights dedicated to hunting mages. They wore armor scaled with dragon hide, enchanted to resist magic, carried weapons blessed by every priest in 5 kingdoms. They were efficient, brutal, and absolutely certain of their righteousness. The memories crashed over him then, unbidden. The smell of burning flesh and scorched stone, the screams of his fellow mages, as dragons carry swords craved, hastily erected seals. His own desperate spells, fleeing cavaliers from the tower's heights, watching them plummet with a satisfaction that stirred horror me later. Much later, when the blood rage faded and he saw clearly what he had become, Master Bachman. Franklin's voice pulled him back to the present. Your HNDS. Andrew looked down, and saw violet sparks dancing between his fingers. The unconscious manifestation of emotional turmoil. He closed his fists quickly, extinguishing the light with an effort of will that left him trembling. Forgive me, he muttered. Old memories had sharp edges. But Franklin wasn't looking at him with fear. The boy's expression had something as curiosity, and perhaps the first stirring savannah was not the wondrous gift the old story suggested, but a burden that grew heavier with every use. Did you fight them? Franklin asked quietly. The Cavaliers. Andrew met the boys, and saw no diamond there, only the need for torches. He owed Franklin that much, at least. Yes, he said. E killed 17 men in the defense of the Violet Tower. 17 fathers, brother. Sons who believed they were protecting the innocent from monsters, and they weren't entirely wrong. He moved back to the fire, suddenly feeling every one of his 63 years. We lost anyway. The towers fell, one by one. Of the 2,000 mages who served across all 7 towers, perhaps 300 survived. Most went into hiding, like me. A few tried to continue their work in secret and were hunted down. And me. He trailed off, but Franklin finished the thoughts. Some believed the cows are alone. Let's to be kind old. Not protected. Smart lad, Andrew said softly. It was exactly the logic that would appear to Hilary Heather, if the rumors were true. If she had indeed survived the fall of the Azure Tower, and was now gathering followers in the Shadowmoor Peaks, then the world might soon face a threat far worse than the squabbling towers had ever been. A mage driven by resentment and certainty was more dangerous than a dozen kingdoms at war. Tomorrow, Andrew said, settling back into his chair with a weariness that had nothing to do with physical exertion, we begin studying the doctrine of consequence. Every spell as a cast, Franklin, not just in effort or materials, but in what it does. The Towers forgot that. You forgot that. You won't. Franklin added solemnly, gathering up the as the boy worked, humming an off-key tune. Andrew stared into the fire and tried not to think about the merchant asking questions in the village. Tried not to wonder if someone is or the last year, as the violet tried not to remember the promise he had made in the summer, that he would spend whatever years with he died with over outside, the first snow of winter began to fall, its flake catching the firelight, like tiny stars descending to earth. Andrew watched them through the window, and watched as the vast flames that had once crowned his tower built a fire. But, he would not let Franklin become another casualty of that deadly light. Whatever came next, whatever spreads emerged from the bones of the old world, and but as the teacher, he desperately needed to become. Even if it cost him everything, the morning brought more than snow. It brought rumors that spread through New Haven like fever, whispered in the mar. Come on, the merchant who had asked Arthur wasn't just any trader. He bought a seal of coffee. A minor noble family that had those guitars in towers with man. Though he kept his expression carefully neutral, the boy was perceptive. Any show of concern would only amplify his own anxiety. Did he say what he wanted? Andrew asked, measuring dried beans into a pot for soaking. The mundane task helped ground him, kept the old reflexes from sparking to life. Not directly, but primeiro heard him talking to the innkeeper. Franklin paused, clearly weighing whether to continue. He asked if any strange thing had happened. Lights in the sky, claps growing too fast or at night, Gigi. Magical interference. The bean scattered across the table, as Andrew's hand jerked involuntarily. He had been so careful. Every spare, the handful he had permitted himself for necessity had been small, controlled, designed to leave no trace. Warming stones for Franklin during the coldest night. Purifying water from the contaminated well. Nothing that would register beyond the local area. Certainly nothing that would draw attention from noble houses 3 kingdoms away. Unless someone was specifically looking. Unless someone knew his signature. Master! Franklin's voice carried the edge of worry now. Should we leave? Andrew forced himself to breathe, to think rather than react. Running would solve nothing. It would only confirm suspicions and leave them perpetually vulnerable. No, if House Corrigan had indeed sent someone, he needed to know why. 8 news of silence suggested something had changed. Some new development that made tracking down surviving tower maids worth the considerable effort. No, he said finally, but we'll be cautious. Continue your studies here while you go into the village. If I'm not back by sunset, I won't leave without you. Franklin interrupted, his jaw set with stubborn determination. Andrew felt something warm and painful expanding his chest. The boy's loyalty was a gift he had done nothing to earn, born from months of patient teaching, and simple kindness commodities apparently were enough in Franklin's short life to inspire devotion. It made what he had to do next even harder. If I'm not back by sunset, Andrew repeated firmly, "You take the satchel hidden beneath the drug in the coil. Inside is enough quantity to Portsmouth, an letter introduction to a woman named Helena Castor. She plans a training house there. Tell her thanks you. She'll give you honest work and ask no questions." But frankly, Andrew's tone carried on. He hadn't used in. "If something happens to me, the worst thing you could do is try to avenge or rescue me. The best thing, the only thing, is to live. To take what I've taught you and make different choices than you did. Do you understand?" The boy's eyes glistened, but he nodded. Good. Andrew had no illusions about heroism anymore. He also agile, who gambled with lives other than the walk into Millhaven took 20 minutes through ankle-deep snow, giving Andrew time to compose himself and consider approaches. The village was small, perhaps 300 souls built around a crossroads, that saw enough trade to support an inn, a smith, and a general store. Most residents were farmers or craftsmen, decent folk, who had shown Andrew quiet courtesy. Once they determined he posed no threat to their routines. He found the merchant in the inn's common room. A well-dressed man in his 40s, with the careful posture of someone educated in courtly manners but not born to them. House Corrigan steward. Then, or perhaps a younger son managing business interests. The seal on his cloak confirmed the family connection, a violet serpent coiled around a wheat sheath. The violet serpent, Andrew's route constrictor, that had been his piercing sigil at the Violet Tower, granted to House Corrigan when they commissioned his work on crop resilience enchantments. Seeing their ghost had walked and price his grave. Master Bachman. The merchant was smoothly extending a hand. "Thomas Corrigan, e apologize for the intrusion, but I've traveled a long way, hoping to speak with you." Andrew shook the offered hand warily, noting the man's firm grip and direct gaze. "Not a threat, at least not an immediate one. I'm no master of anything anymore, Sir Corrigan, just an old man who prefers his solitude." "Of course." Thomas gestured to the empty chair across from here. "Please, S.E.L.L. be brief." They settled at the table farthest from the fireplace, where conversation could be conducted without drawing attention. Kipra, a matronly woman named Hess, who had always treated Andrew with respect for indifference, brought them warm cider without being asked a kindness or a warning that strange discussing private business always attracted interest. "My family has not forgotten the service you provided," Thomas began without preamble. "The enchantments you placed on our fields still function, even after all these years. Harvests that feed not just our own people, but it saved lives." Master Bachman. Hundreds are dead. Andrew had not expected gratitude. The sudden warm was nearly painful. I'm pleased the work he endured. But primeiro suspect, you didn't travel through winter snow to thank me for spells cast a decade ago. Thomas's expression darkened. "No. Primeiro came to warn you." He leaned closer, voice dropping. "There are rumors coming out of the Shadowmark Peaks. A woman calling herself the Azure Phoenix has established a stronghold in the old mountain fortress of Caer Dravak. She's gathering mages, survivors of the Cavaliers trusted with their own governance. That mages must rule openly, firmly, for the good of all. The Azure Phoenix." Andrew didn't need to ask who. Hilary Helder had always favored dramatic titles and grander visions. But hearing confirmation that she lived, that she had not only survived but was now actively recruiting, sand ice through his veins colder than any winter storm. Why tell me this? Andrew asked carefully. Because she is specifically seeking former grandmasters. She sent an voice to at least 3 noble houses that had connections to the towers, asking for information about survivors. She offered gold, protection, even land grants in exchange for their locations. Tamasija Titan. My family refused, but not everyone will. There are too many who see her promises as preferable to the chaos we've had since the Towers Fair. Chaos you mean the freedom of kingdoms to govern themselves without magical interference. Andrew couldn't keep the bitterness from his voice. You mean bandits controlling trade routes because there's no coordinated response. Plagues spreading unchecked because healing magic is now forbidden. Crop failures that could be prevented with a vigilant but aren't, because anyone is branded a witch and executed. Thomas met his eyes. The towers were flush, Master Bachman, but their absence has created different problems. It was an unchangeable address within the dark of us. Pets were the towers destroyed because they were inherent, or because they had simply lost their way? Could magic be practiced responsibly? Or did it inevitably corrupt those who wielded it? He had no answers. Only Franklin and the desperate hope that teaching one student's character might prove redemption was possible. What does the Azure Phoenix want with its former grandmasters? Andrew asked, though he suspected he knew. Legitimacy. Precedence. If the old masters join her, it validates her claim that Thomas pulled a seal letter is cold. She sends this. I carried it for Indiana. He decided you deserve just how to respond. Andrew took the letter, feeling sweat. The waxy bought a solitary sigil, a dragon coiled half. His hands didn't tremble. He broke the seal and though inward, he felt as frail as pan glass. The handwriting was hilarious, elegant and precise. Andrew, you know you lied. Primeiro know you remember. The Violet Tower's fall was a tragedy. But we were betrayed by those who feared what they could not understand. But we can wiser. Join me at Caer Dravak. Together, we can rebuild what was lost and ensure such persecution never happens again. The common folk need guidance, Andrew. They always had. The Tower's only mistake was pretending otherwise. We could have saved them all, if only they had let us. Andrew read it eyes, feeling the familiar pull of Hilary's logic. She had always been brilliant at finding the position and there was proof the truth that could both ways. But he had learned, finally, that being right about a problem didn't just solution. That power without consent was tyranny, no matter how benevolent the intent. You won't go, Andrew said quietly, refolding the letter. And if you send Speopri to find me, I refuse them to. Thomas nodded, as if he had expected nothing less. Then you should know that refusing may not be enough. The Azure Phoenix is not making requests, Master Bachman. She's making demands. Those who won't join her willingly are the itself. Threats that must be neutralized. The implication heavy between them. Andrew had survived the fall of the towers. He might not survive Hilary's rise. There's one more thing, Thomas added reluctantly. My family is holding near Caer Dravak. Our tenants reports seeing blue flames in the sky at night, magical signatures visible for miles. She's not hiding anymore, Master Bachman. She's announcing herself, and people are listening. Andrew closed his eyes, feeling the weight of old mistakes pressing down like mountains. He had hoped to live out his remaining years of it, teaching Franklin and to make some small amends for the damage his has. But the past, it seemed, was not finished with him. Thank you for the warning, he said finally. Only for your family's discretion. We owe you more than discretion. Thomas stood, adjusting his cloak. If you need anything, pass it somewhere. A safe, coin, a message delivered, send word. The violet shop and still means something to House Corrigan. After Thomas departed, Andrew sat alone in the common room, watching snowfall beyond the window and thinking about choices. He could run, pack what little they owned, take Franklin, and disappear into one of the kingdoms farther south, where magic was spoken of, only in whispers and myths. But running had never solved anything. And if Hillary truly was gathering an army of mages, someone needed to stand against her, someone who understood exactly how persuasive her arguments could be, and exactly how much distraction her vision of saving the world would cause. Someone who had once stood beside her in the Azure Towers library and debated philosophy until dawn, believing they could reshape civilization through pure enlightened reason. The memory surfaced unbidden. Hillary at 25, brilliant and fierce, arguing that magical knowledge should be restricted to those with it properly. Andrew countering that wisdom without compassion was just cruelty with better vocabulary. They had been friends once, before ambition and ideology drove wedges between all the towers, before everything burned. Andrew rose slowly, joined his protest in the cold and slow seizure. Franklin would be waiting, wearied despite his attempts at bravery. The boy deserved better than to be dragged into conflicts he hadn't caused and couldn't possibly understand. But perhaps understanding was exactly what he needed. Perhaps the only way to prevent Franklin from repeating the tower's mistakes was to show him clearly what those mistakes had cost. Master Bachman has approached with the caution of someone interrupting difficult slots. More cider. No? Thank you. Andrew managed a tired smile. Gasto o gathering. Old man's prerogative. That merchant has said carefully. He didn't seem like trouble. But these are strange times. If you need anything, if the village can help, you've only to ask. To offer a surprise deal. Andrew had deliberately kept himself apart, neither requesting nor offering assistance beyond the basic courtesies of commerce. But apparently more kindnesses accumulated their own weight over Timmy. He appreciated that, Andrew said sincerely. Truly, he left coins for the cider and began to do the meal, mind earning possibilities and plus. By the time he reached the door, falling harder. Muffling the wilderness. Franklin looked up firmly, relief clear on his face. You back, Leon. Andrew shook snow from his cloak and moved to the fire. And we need to talk about what comes next. He told Franklin everything about Hillary Helder, the Azure Phoenix, the gathering threats in the Shadowmark Peaks. The boy listened with the focused intensity that made him sound a promising student, asking questions that could hurt a visitors. When Andrew finished, Franklin was quiet. Then, so what do we do? Not what will you do? We, the boy had already decided they faced this together, and Andrew felt that painful warmth, expanding his test again. We prepare. Andrew sai de ponto e ele teach you not just degree but practice. Real magic, Franklin. Dangerous magic, because if Hillary comes for us, when she comes for us, you need to know you can protect yourself. Franklin's eyes widened. E the lessons just got much more serious. Andrew met the boy's gaze steadily. And not more dangerous. You need to trust me completely unquestioned. Me constantly. Can you do that? Franklin nodded, spine straightening with determination that seemed too large for his being frail. Yes, master. Good lad. Andrew turned back to the fire, watching flames dance, and thinking as the violent conflagration that had consumed everything he once valued. Then tomorrow, we begin our real education. Outside, the snow continued falling, its flake a tiny fragments of white silence covering the wheels. But understand, storms were coming, blue flames and old deaths, ideology and ruin, or converging on this forgotten meal. An old mage tried desperately to teach one boy that power without wisdom was just another name for Ash. He would face them, not as the Grandmaster as the Violet Tower, but as Andrew Bachman, teacher and perhaps, if he was very lucky, Redeemer. Even if redemption meant stopping his oldest friend from burning the world down in pursuit of perfection. Franklin's education took an urgency. Andrew began its morning with theory, the mechanics of mana channeling, the geometric precision of spell construction, the resonance between will and ultimate magic Tassaba. But practical application, starting with the smallest manifestations, conjuring, purifying water, sensing enchantments. The boy was a natural. His fingers thrashed glyphs with an elegance that spoke of deeper instinct. And his understanding of magic had progressed faster than anyone Andrew had taught at the Violet Tower. But that very talent terrified Andrew, because he saw in Franklin's quick mastery the same intoxicating rush of power that had seduced him 3 decades ago. Remember, Andrew said for perhaps the 100th time, as Franklin successfully maintained a sphere of violet light between his palms. Every spell draws Andrew's pattern. Take too much, or too carelessly, and you create ripples, a damaged fabric of reality itself. Like at the towers, Franklin said. Concentration never wavering. The experiments that drained the land. Exactly. Andrew gestured for the boy to realize the spell. The Azure Tower's agricultural enhancements required siphoning vitality from the surrounding wilderness. 300 square miles of forest became ash. Hillary argued it acceptable because it fed kingdoms. She was wrong. Franklin's brow furrowed, but you did agricultural magic for House Corrigan. How is that different? The question was sharp, precisely the kind of critical thinking Andrew had been trying to cultivate. Intent and methods. He answered, enchantments do power from accumulated sunlight and, when natural processed, that replenish themselves. Hillary's work extracted the fusion, living nothing that could recover. One's harvesting fruits from a tree, the other is burning the tree forward and calling its progress. And she never saw the difference. Oh, Andrew's voice went cold with memory. She simply decided the cost was acceptable. That's the danger, Franklin. Not the magic itself, but the certainty that justify any price others pay. They worked good afternoon. Franklin practicing increasingly complex castings while of excessive brain. The boy carried quickly his reserves were still developing, but he showed none of the required characters. Perhaps there was, pop after all, the first visitor arrived 3 weeks after. On a morning, when ice crystals turned the windows into fractured diamonds, Franklin was in the village buying supplies, when Andrew sensed the approach, a disturbance in the magical field that felt like fingernails and slates. Deliberate and made from the me to find a woman in blue robe standing in the snow, her breath misting in cold. She was young, perhaps 30, with the confidence bearing as someone accustomed to being obeyed. Behind her, two more figures waited at a distance, also robed in azurital clothes. Andrew Bachman, the woman said, not quite making it a question. Young Cordelia Tame. Herald of the Azure Phoenix, e bring greetings and an invitation from Grandmaster Helder. Andrew remained in the doorway, deliberately not inviting them closer. You are Cordelia smiled didn't waver. The Grandmaster doesn't seek to command you, only to reunite old colleagues in common purpose. She remembers your friendship fondly. I'm sure she remembers many things fondly. Andrew replied, including the experiments that turned children into crystalline statues, because he wanted to study mortality's physical manifestations. Is that one of the topics she discussed at this reunion? The smile finally cracked. The Grandmaster's research saved thousands. If some were lost in the pursuit of knowledge that benefited the staff, Andrew's voice carried enough edge to silence her sentence. You won't debate utilitarian ethics with someone young. Herself. Very bored. You won't join her crusade, and you won't be persuaded. Cordelia's expression hardened. You would rather hide here, teaching street orphans parlor tricks, while the world crumbles. The kingdoms are fracturing, Master Bachman, without magical guidance. They tear themselves apart. The Azure Phoenix offers stability, order, protection at the cost of freedom. Andrew interrupted. Hillary always did prefer subjects to citizens. And you prefer chaos to governance? Cordelia's composure was sleeping now, revealing the zealots beneath the diplomatic facade. The Cavaliers proved that common folk cannot be trusted with power, or even with choosing their own leaders. They murdered as mages because they feared what they couldn't understand. Would you see that happen again? You would see people free to make their own mistakes, Andrew said quietly, even terrible ones. That's what separates guidance from tyranny, Cordelia. The willingness to accept that others had you to reject your help. For a moment, something flickered across her face, doubts, perhaps, or the ghost of questions she'd learned to suppress. But it vanished quickly, replaced by cold certainty. The Grandmaster anticipated your refusal, Cordelia said. She asked me to remind you of three things. First, that you share responsibility for the tower's fall. Your rivalry with the Azure Tower drew attention. Second, that your isolation is selfish. The knowledge in your head to save lives properly applied. And THRD. Letting the silence stretch, that the boy you teaching is talented enough to draw notice. It would be unfortunate if Cavalier informants learned of an unlicensed mage training someone in forbidden arts. The duet was barely veiled. Andrew fed violet sparks kindled at his fingertips. O danger risen like Billy. He forced it down, or she will. Knowing any display of power would only confirm Cordelia's narrative. Tell Hillary, Andrew said, voice steady despite the fury churning inside him, that if she harms Franklin, he will demonstrate exactly why primeiro was named Grandmaster as the Violet Tower. And unlike her, you won't carry what it can the world. Cordelia's eyes widened slightly. She'd been testing him, measuring his resolve. Now she had her I very yes. But you should wait. If you won't, she'll ensure you can't oppose her. Consider carefully which side of history you wish to stand on. Andrew Bachman. She turned and departed, her companions following in silent formation. Andrew watched until they disappeared into the twilight, then sagged against the doorframe. Feeling every one of his ear, Franklin returned an hour later, immediately sensing the tension. What happened? Andrew told him, leaving nothing out. The boy deserves to know the danger his association with Andrew had created. So she tried to have us killed, Franklin said flatly when Andrew finished. Or arrested. Are used as examples. Likely, Andrew admitted. Which is why I'm giving you a choice. You can take that statue and list nights. Helena Castor will know. Franklin's docile familiar stubbornness. You said magic needs to be taught properly, or it becomes dangerous. If you're right, you teach the next students, and the one after that. Franklin besides, the boy continued, a hint of the genial in his voice. You can't face the Azure Phoenix alone. You said it yourself. Every spell has a cast. You need someone to watch your back. Andrew wanted to argue. To insist that protecting Franklin meant sending him away. But he saw in the boy's eyes the same determination that had driven him to survive on the streets, to learn despite hardship, to keep believing the world could be better even when all evidence suggested otherwise. You're too young for this, Andrew said quietly. So were all those students at the towers, Franklin replied. At least you know what I'm getting into. And there it was the truth had been avoiding. The students at the Violet Tower had been Franklin's age when he was a child. To cut up in his own ambition to see them as anything but tools for advancing knowledge. Perhaps that was the real difference. Not the magic itself, but recognizing the humanity as those he taught. Then we prepare together. Andrew said ele tinha no. But Franklin me comes. If I tell you to us, promise me. The boy hesitated. Then nodded. He promised. It was a lie, Andrew suspected. But sometimes lies born from loyalty were easier to accept than truths born from fear. The nightmare returned the intensity. Andrew found himself back in his chamber. Violet flames crawling up the walls, as cavaliers in Dragonscale armor breached the doors. He fought with desperate fury, transmuting stone to sand beneath their feet, conjuring barriers stylized there, and tiny blades. Bodies fell, its students, his colleagues, the knights themselves until the floor and the air baked out and through each other. He heard Hillary's from across the city, from the Azure Tower that was also burning. We could have saved them all, if only they had let us. He walked gasping, violet light flickering around. He clenched fists. Franklin was there immediately, pressing a cup of water into his shaking hands. The tower again? The boy asked softly. Andrew nodded, not trusting his voice. The dreams had plagued him for years after the fall, eventually fading to occasional visitations. But now, with Hillary came every night, replaying his failures in exhausted. Tell me what you see, Franklin said. Settling cross-legged beside Andrew's palate. Sometimes speaking it makes it smaller. It was advice Andrew had once given the boy during his own nightmares about life on the streets. Having it returned felt like, hence the moment he became what he despised, Andrew said quietly. The Cavaliers came at dawn. We had warnings, but the Violet Tower's council decided we were untouchable. That's as essential. We were on. he started his hands, remembering how they'd fared when reached in violet flame. Amipatan turned Teraba. He killed to defend Samis, and that deserved to fall. And he did it thinking primeiro was the hero. When of the innocent Franklin asked the Cavaliers, I mean, it was a question Andrew had wrestled with for 8 years. From war, Ianites, who believed they were protecting villages from dangerous mages. They weren't entirely wrong, we were dangerous. But the agarrers... He shook his head. Others enjoyed the hunt, took trophies, made examples. The Cavaliers weren't heroes either. Frankly, just proper work power who convinced themselves their cause justified any methods. Like the Knicks, exactly like the Azure Phoenix, and who met the boys' eyes. That's what terrifies me. Hiller believes she's saving the world. The Cavaliers believed they were protecting it. Both were willing to burn it down, to prove themselves right. Franklin was quiet for a moment, processing. Then, what do you believe? Andrew laughed. A bitter sound without humor. I believe I'm a tired old man, trying to keep one student from repeating his mistakes. Beyond that, he shrugged, I'm not sure believing anything absolutely is safe anymore. They sat in companionable silence until the sky began to lighten. Andrew rose stiffly, moving to the window, where he could watch dawn paint the snow golden pink. Bruta fun. Indifferent. Eternal the world would continue, regardless of whose ideology prevailed. Master Bachman. Franklin's voice carried a different quality now, hesitant but determined. If you had to fight the Azure PHOENEX... could you win? Andrew considered seriously. Hillary had always been his equal in pure magical talent. Perhaps even his superior in theoretical innovation. But she'd also been reckless, willing to push boundaries he'd hesitated to cross. 8 years as Attica Driver, gathering resources and followers, studying without meanwhile, Andrew using only the smallest spares necessary. His reserves had atrophied, his reflexes had slowed. No, he admitted. Not in a direct confrontation. She's younger, more practiced, and absolutely certain she's right. That's what the prince. Then how do we stop that? We don't fight by power with power, Andrew said slowly. An idea crystallizing. We fight her certainty with doubt. Make her question whether a vision is as perfect as she believes. It was a fragile plan, built on knowing Hillary better, and to escapes and vanish. She'd always been diligent, constantly seeking validation that work. If Andrew could crack the switch, show her the flaws in her reasoning, but it would require getting close, talking to her, risking that her arms might sway him instead. That's dangerous, Franklin observed. Everything in is Andrew's play. But sometimes the only way forward is don't do is that follow to ascension. Pisan preparation. Andrew taught Franklin advanced magic archery, the architecture of large-scale enchantments, the resonance between similar spells, the way magical signatures could be tracked and masked. The boy absorbed it all with frightening speed. His natural talents flowering under focused instruction. But Andrew also taught him history, the rise of the towers, the accumulation of power that led to arrogance, the small compromises that became catastrophic errors. He made Franklin read the chronicles of villages destroyed by magical experimentation, the accounts of children conscripted for research, the testimonies of survivors, Road what las dones, transmute into components for grand enchantments. This is what certainty looks like. Andrew said as Franklin finished a particularly harrowing account of the Taurus' longevity experiments. Hillary believed extending human life was because the subjects who died screaming, transformed into crystalline statues that still stand in Caer Dravak's courtyard. They were acceptable losses. Nessa série sacrifices for the greater good. Franklin looked here. Did you know? When this was happening, we heard rumors, Andrew admitted. Shame color in his voice. The Violet Tower chose to focus on our own research on what the Azure Tower was doing. You told ourselves it was an entire possibility that interfering would only escalate conflicts between the towers. He met Franklin's accusing Gazi without flinching. We were cowards. And our cowardice enabled horrors. But you stopped eventually. You fought the Cavaliers. Only when they came for us, Andrew said bitterly. Not when they shut down the Crimson Tower for necromantic experiments on prisoners. Not when they raised the we defended our own path, and called it Principate. The admission had to win that night. Course. Franklin absorbed it silently, and Andrew watched the It's hard to watch, but necessary, better. We did more visitors. Not Azure Phoenix heralds this teaming, but travelers who seemed to be interested in the old mill, merchants whose questions were too pointed, minstrels whose songs carried coded messages about magical awakening and Hillary was testing their resolve, and realized, probing for weaknesses, measuring their response. She wanted to know if he would defend himself, if Franklin was truly under his protection, if the old Grandmaster as the Violet Tower still had touch. He gave her no satisfaction when suspicious travelers appeared. Andrew played the Holy of Harmless color perfectly, where magical probes brushed against the mirror's wards enough that most wouldn't notice. He allowed them to slide past without spans, revealing nothing of his capabilities. But privately, he and Franklin prepared. They established escape routes through the forest, cart supplies in hidden locations, practiced defensive spells until Franklin could raise a barrier in his sleeve and broke his long-standing buff against aggressive magic, teaching the boy how to redirect force, how to make enemy spells rebound on themselves. What you said violence was a last resort, Franklin observed, after mastering a particularly nasty reflective ward. It is, Andrew agreed. But large soliciting to be action. The difference is knowing when you've exhausted everything else. And how do you know that? Andrew smiled grimly. When the alternative is letting someone you care about die, that's when peaceful solutions become luxuries you can't afford. The summons arrived in late spring, delivered not by herald but by magical manifestation. A construct of blue flame that coalesced in the mirror's main robe while Andrew and Franklin at breakfast. It bore Hillary's signature. Unmistakable and deliberately provocative. Andrew, your silence speaks clearly. You've chosen a position over cooperation, isolation over community. I'm disappointed but not surprised. You always did. I'm extending one where the ethical come along, or with your students. We discuss the future of magic and what role, if any, you play in it. Refuse, and you consider your enemy as progress. The consequences will follow accordingly. choose wisely, old friends. Hillary deconstructs desolate, leaving only the faint scent of ozone and burned paper. Andrew stared at the space-it Hadak e a paz, mind racing through implications. The crossroads of Ash. The ruins of Tessamar, where the violet Tauro had stood. It was a deliberate choice, designed to remind him of Erasmus, but it was also neutral ground, neither her stronghold nor his refuge. It's a trap, Franklin said flatly. Probably, Andrew agreed, but it's also an opportunity. She wants to talk, which means she's not entirely certain of she'd just send overwhelming force. Or she's giving you a chance to surrender before she does exactly that. Also passable. Andrew Rose, moving to the window. The forest was green-lit no growth, vibrant and alive. He'd spent 8 years here, hidden in silence. The thought of returning to Tessamar, to the ruins of his greatest failure, felt like pressing on a wound desperately close. But Franklin was right about one thing: this couldn't be avoided forever. Hillary would keep pushing until Andrew either joined her became an example of what to those who refuse. We go, Andrew decided. Both have. But we prepare carefully, and we leave ourselves room to retreat as necessary. Franklin added, expression grave beyond his years. When do we leave? Tomorrow. Andrew felt the weight as decision set over village. Miliar armor. The solstice is 3 weeks away. That gives us time to reach Tessamar. If Hillary wants to meet where the violet tower fell, I'll show her exactly why it deserved to fall. And if she won't listen. Andrew met the boy's eyes, seeing his own determination reflected there. Then we make sure she can't drag anyone else down with her certainty, no matter what it costs. It was not a promise he made lightly, but looking at Franklin William, determined not to repeat the mistakes of previous generations. Andrew's willingness to ensure the boy had a chance at a better future, even if that price was stopping his oldest friend from burning the world down in pursuit of a perfection that had never existed. The violet dower's ashes called him whole. And or whether some sins were too deep to ever wash clean. The journey to Tessamar took 2 weeks, traveling backwards and avoiding main thoroughfares, where Azuri Phoenix supporters had begun establishing checkpoints. They encountered GSS stations mages in blue robes demanding travelers declare distance armed car governance, offering protection in exchange for loyalty goals. Andrew, this is awesome. As I it wasn't far from approach. The mages manning these posts were young, for what weight the conviction of recent converts. Andrew recognized the zealotry in their eyes. It was the same blind certainty he'd seen in himself 3 decades ago, when he'd believed magical knowledge made him superior to those who lacked it. They don't even question it, Franklin observed after their guide left the Chirrut checkpoint behind. The Phoenix's message, they accept it as absolute truth, because it offers him answers to complex problems. Andrew explained. The kingdoms are struggling. Crete is disrupted. All the alliances are frightened, and People are frightened. Hillary promised stability, order, protection, or the king's traumatized population's crave. The cost of freedom seems abstract compared to immediate safety, but it's not real safety. It's just trading one fear for another. Try telling that to someone who's lost everything to bandit raids that could have been prevented by magical words, Andrew said quietly. Hillary's not wrong about the problems, Franklin. She's wrong about the solutions. That's what makes her dangerous. They camped in abandoned farmhouses and forest clearings, and using his remaining strength to maintain concealment of impacted defensive spells they drilled endlessly. The boy's skill had grown Hillary Woodbury over disconfrontation. He'd always believed in decisive shows of power. On the 30th day, they crested the hills. Sotesama spread below them. Speak clean by Scavenger. The city had been magnificent once. A dual of architecture and culture built around the Violet Tower so inspired. Now it was ruins and ghosts. Buildings collapsed into rubble. Streets overgrown with weeds. And at the height, where the Violet Tower had tipped the sky, there was only a crater. A massive wall in the earth, perfectly circular, marking where the tower's foundations had been transmuted into sun in its final moments, and who had done that himself, destroying his life's work rather than let the values claim it. Mother of Mercy, Franklin breathed. Inuit Fair, box down the capture the scale of ruins. And we finish. Karen, we need to prepare. They descended into Tessamara's twilight painted the ruins in shades of purple and gold, the violet tower of colors, rendered in sky and shadow. Andrew felt it step like a blood between his ribs. Memories hissing with every landmark they passed. The fountain where he'd taught advanced students, the plaza where he'd first met Hillary, both as them young and brilliant, and convinced to reshape the world. The archive, Arnold's, Carlos Burn, Hive, the Cavalier etc. Play. Franklin stayed close, sensing Andrew's distress but saying nothing. The boy had learned when silence was more supportive than words. They made camp in what had been the tower's lower garden, now a wild tangle of plants that had reclaimed cultivated beds. Andrew sang comprehensive words unassuming. Leave her, Apple. Said no. Tell me about her, Franklin said, as they sat by the small fire. Not the Azure Phoenix. Hillary held her, before everything fell apart. Andrew stared into the flames, watching them dance and remembering violet light reflected in intelligent grey eyes. She was remarkable, he admitted. Brilliant, that made everyone joy. She asked questions, no one articles, connections between disciplines that seemed unrelated. The Azure Tower's research into life extension, agricultural enhancement, disease prevention, those were all her initiatives. So she did good things. She did transformative things, Andrew corrected. Whether they were good depends on how you weigh outcomes against methods. She saved thousands through her agricultural work. Yes, but she also condemned hundreds to horrific deaths in her longevity experiments. She eradicated koi plagues but created tunuones, grow aggressive magical intervents and in natural systems. Did you love her? The question caught Andrew off guard. He'd expected tactical inquiries, strategic analysis, not this penetrating personal probe. Once, he admitted after a long silence, not romantically, but intellectually, professionally. She was my equal in ways no one else at the range. We challenged each other, pushed each other to greater heights. He thought that rivalry made us both better. He laughed bitterly. It was wrong, it just made us more dangerous. What changed? She stopped seeing People as People, Andrew said simply. Started viewing them as components in her grand designs. Resources to be allocated to be optimized. When Zero confronted her about the longevity experiments, she genuinely couldn't understand my objection. They were dying anyway, she said. At least this way their deaths meant something. Franklin shuddered. That's monstrous. That's certain. Andrew replied. The bid your goals are so important that any sacrifice is justified. It seducted Franklin. He felt it do. The pull of absolute conviction. The comfort of believing you're right, and everyone else simply doesn't understand. Fighting it requires constant vigilance. They sat in silence, watching stars emerge above the ruined city. Andrew thought about tomorrow. About the confrontation that would determine whether Hillary or his desperate hope for something better would shape Magic's future. Unfrightened, Franklin admitted quietly good. Lucette, firmly you're taking this seriously. It's the honest. Who aren't frightened you worry about? Are you frightened? Terrified, Andrew answered honestly. But I'm also resolved. Hillary needs to be stopped. Franklin, not because she's evil, she's not, but because her version of salvation is just tyranny with better rhetoric. The night passed slowly, Andrew dozed fitfully, plagued by fragmented dreams of violet flames and screaming. Franklin kept watch, spelled occasionally by Andrew, when exhaustion became too much for the boy. Dawn broke clear and cold, painting the summer's ruins in hard light that showed every crack and collapse. Andrew rose stiffly, feeling his age in every joint. He'd pushed himself hard on the journey, maintaining words and teaching and traveling. His reserves were depleted, his body exhausted, but his resolve was absolute. She's here, Franklin said suddenly, pointing toward the crater where the violet tower had stood. The blue flames danced in the air above it, forming words. I'm waiting. Andrew checked his preparations one final time. The words set to deflect overwhelming force. The escape routes Judas, the contingencies he drilled into Franklin and the boy could execute them unconsciously. Then he and Franklin walked toward the crater. Toward the reckoning Andrew had delayed for 8 years. Hillary stood at the crater's edge, flanked by a dozen mages in azure phoenix regalia. She looked exactly as Andrew remembered Thor, elegant, grey-eyed sharp with sense. But there was a hardness to her now, a crystalline quality that suggested something essential had frozen over. Andrew, she greeted him warmly, as if they were meeting for tea rather than a confrontation that might reshape the magical landscape. You look well. Plastic life agrees with you. HLARY. Andrew stepped 20 feet away, Franklin at his side. You look unchanged. I'd say power agrees with you, but it is deep. She smiled at Bob. Still clever with words. I've missed our debates. Her gaze shifted to Franklin, assessing. And this must be your student. The boy you've been teaching forbidden magic in direct violation of the Concordat. The Concordat was written by people who feared what they couldn't control. Andrew replied. It is Franklin's responsibility, restraint, and the courage to question authority given mine. Something you never learn. The mages behind Hillary started, hands moving toward wands and staves. She stilled them with a gesture. Sapphire, she observed. I'd hoped they'd use a exile that taught you humility. Apparently not. He learned it, Andrew said. Including that, some ideas are too dangerous to compromise with. Light magical governance. Hillary's expression harder. Look. Around you, Andrew. This is what freedom achieves. A great city reduced to rubble because ignorant masses feared their battles. How many died here? 3,000. 4. Or because people without magical education are allowed to make decisions affecting those of us who dedicate our lives to understanding reality's fundamental nature. They died because we gave them reason to fear us, and who countered, because mages like you decided their concert was optional. The Cavaliers were wrong, Hillary. But so were we. Our power didn't grant us the urge. That's anyway. Hillary said flatly. Every year is just pretty fiction. We tell ourselves, I'm offering you a chance to be on the ways I love history. And, join me. Help rebuild the towers. Establish proper governance before the kingdoms tear themselves apart in time. Mages ruling homages for their own good. Andrew shook his head. That's not governance, Hillary. That's aristocracy with spellbooks instead of bloodlines. Same oppression, different justification. Then what's your alternative? Hillary did frustration cracking her composed facade. Let the kingdoms flounder. What plagues spread on famines ravaged regions? Could it save with simple magic? Stunned by while raiders and warlords prey on the defenseless. Yes, the word emerged more forcefully than Andrew intended. Yes, if the alternative is opposing a will without consents. People had the right to make mistakes. Hillary, even fatal ones. That's what separates guidance from tyranny. Noble sentiments, Hillary said coldly. Tell it to the children starving because local lords refuse magical aid out of superstitious fear. Tell it to the families dying of preventable diseases. Joy principles are a luxury just with other people suffering. It was the same argument Andrew had wrestled with in countless sleepless nights. The same trap that made Hillary's position seductive. She wasn't long off. People were suffering unnecessarily. Magic could help, but you're right, Andrew admitted. And saw surprise flicker across Hillary's face. Magic could solve many problems. Save countless lives. You won't pretend he had. He took a step forward. But here's what you're missing. The suffering caused by magical tyranny is worse than the suffering caused by magical absence. Because at least in the latter, people maintain agency. They can change their minds, adapt new approaches, learn from mistakes. Under your world, they'd have no choice at all. Poise is overrated when people consistently choose wrong. Hillary snapped. And who decides what's wrong? Andrew Salad. You. Based on what authority? Your magical talents. Your education. Neither of those things grant you wisdom. Hillary. They just grant you power. And power without accountability is exactly what's destroyed. Push. Hillary is the titan behind her. The Azuri Phoenix made shift restlessly. Clearly and comfortably. But Andrew was targeting not just Hillary, but her support. You have accountability, Hillary said, to the mission of protecting and advancing humanity, to the knowledge that he alone possesses the vision and capability to guide civilization through this chaos. Do you hear yourself? Andrew asked quietly. He alone possesses the vision. That's not confidence, Hillary. That's delusion. The same delusion that made us think the towers were untouchable. That's also justified any cost. How many people did you keep pursuing longevity? How many villages disappeared feeding your agricultural experiments? Acceptable losses in pursuit of greater goods. There is no greater good that the change is political crystalline status. Andrew shouted crocodile. Violet sparks crackling around his clenched fist. Those words acceptable losses. They were people, Hillary. Living, breeding people with dreams and fears and families who loved them. You took all that away because you decided your goals mattered more than and Hillary stared that in something wild, vein flickering behind her. For a moment, Andrew thought he'd broken through, reached the woman who'd once questioned whether they were doing more harm than good. Then her expression froze over again, harder than before. You're weak, she said. You always were. Too sentimental to make difficult decisions. That's why the Violet Tower fell, because when the Cavaliers came, you hesitated. You tried to negotiate instead of crushing them decisively. Your mercy gets during the help kill. The accusation struck like a physical blow. Andrew felt Franklin Tess beside him but didn't walk away from Hillary's accusing gaze. "You whites," he said quietly. He hesitated. Tried to find a peaceful solution when decisive action might have saved lives. That failure haunts me every single day. He took another step forward, close enough now to see the fine lines around Hillary's eyes, the grey threaded through her dark hair. But you know what he learned from that failure? That certainty is more dangerous than hesitation. Because primeiro could have destroyed the car, could have destroyed the but then what? Prove to every kingdom that mages were exactly trigger a war that would have consumed the entire continent. Better that slow rats, Hillary insisted. A quick, decisive war would have established proper order. Instead, we have chaos. We have possibility, and we counter the chance for something new to emerge. The towers are gone. Yes. But they were broken anyway, Hillary. Be the non-relations of the them stay gone. Let's build something better. There is nothing better than Andrew felt immense sadness wash over him. With hope, desperate, that some part of his old friend remained. That he could reach her, make her see the flaws in her reasoning. But she was too far gone to invest in her vision to question its answer. "Hillary," he said softly, "I can't let you do this." Her eyes narrowed. "You can't stop me." You roll, depleted, haunted by guilt, that makes you hesitate at critical moments. I have 12 trained battle mages and the full resources of Caer Dravak behind me. What do you have? A street orphan and misplaced principals? I had some in you lost, Andrew replied. The ability to admit he might be wrong. He felt Franklin's hand slip into his, small and worried. The boy squeezed once, a gesture of solidarity and trust that meant more than any magical arsenal. Hillary saw it and laughed, brittle and cold. "How touching. Your fate in the will make excellent epitaph." She raised her hand, the blue flames kindling her last chance, Andrew. Join me, or be removed as an obstacle. Andrew met her as a fury, searching for any hint of the woman who once debated philosophy with him until dawn. Who'd cried when her first longevity experiment failed. WHODBLIVIDHOWIVIR only that they were making the world better. She was gone. Or buried so deeply beneath layers of certainty and trauma that reaching her was impossible. "It was removal," Andrew said quietly. Hillary's face hardened into something inhuman. "So be it. You always did to cinnamon over sense." She gestured to her mages. "Take them. None let a leaf possible, but don't risk yourselves. They're too dangerous to show mercy." The Azure Phoenix mages advanced, spears ready for me. Andrew felt Franklin Tess beside him, preparing the defenses they'd drilled endlessly. But Andrew had one more card to play. One desperate gambit Hillary wouldn't expect because it violated every principle the towers had held sacred. He dropped to his knees, hands flat against the ruined ground, and released every word he'd spent 8 years maintaining. All the power he'd hoarded, all the careful control, he poured it into the earthed foundations of Tessamar, into the crater where the Verity Tower had stood. "What are you doing?" Hillary screamed. Andrew smiled grimly as violet light erupted from the ground. "Not attacking, not defending, transforming the ruins of Tessamar blazed with titular fire. Every stone that had once been part of the tower, resonating with the signature, had impressed into them decades ago. And as they resonated, they showed memories. The Azure Phoenix made falls, as ghostly images materialized around them. Scenes from the towers, fall played out in phantom light. They saw mages experimenting young children, saw villages drained of light to power enchantments. Saw the cavaliers' brutal response, and the towers' equally brutal defense. They saw everything and one Hillary's generation had done. Or the scenes Kamita in pursuit of knowledge and power. Stop this. Hillary commanded. But her voice wavered. Because she saw it too, including scenes from her own work. Children screaming as longevity's eyes their flash. Scholars begging for mercy, before being conscripted into experiments. The precise, clinical documentation of how many deaths were acceptable for each advancement. This is our legacy, Andrew said, voice carrying across the ruins. Not the grand views or impressive spells. This, the suffering because we were too certain we were bright and Google. One of the Azure Phoenix made his bro Franks. Falling to his knees as he watched himself in phantom light, a younger version casting the spell that had transformed his own sister into a power source for agricultural wars. No, he whispered. No, he didn't. Grandmaster Helder said it was necessary. That she volunteered. She was 6 years old. Andrew said gently. She couldn't volunteer. You were told she did because it was easier than admitting the truth. Another magic crumbles, then another. The carefully constructed certainty. Hillary had built her movement center. That actually meant. Rice, Hillary snarled. But her hands shook as she watched phantom versions of herself conducting experiments with clinical detachments. Propaganda. He's manipulating you? I'm showing them truth. Andrew corrected. Something you spent years hiding from yourself. Look at it, Hillary. Will you look? Is this what you want to build again? For one crystalline moment, he saw her facade crack. Só do uma anjo de chefe. Vai de dois nó. Pai done. Hood fried over failures and agonized over ethical implications. That woman looked at the phantom scene playing out across the Tessamar's ruins and understood, finally, what she had become. Then the moment shattered. Hillary's face twisted with rage and denial. Blue flames exploding outward in a way that would have incinerated everything within 50 feet. Andrew was ready. He redirected the force into the ground, into the resonating stones, feeding it back through the memory spire. The feedback loop amplified exponentially Hillary's against itself, forcing her to witness her. She screamed. Not in pain but in fury and recognition. The sound was ragged, broken, the quiet someone whose heart had been shattered beyond repair. When the flames guttered out, Hillary stood alone. Her mages had scattered, fleeing not from Andrew's power but from the throats of what they'd been supporting. The Azure Phoenix's army reduced to one woman standing in ruins of her own making. You destroyed everything, she whispered, staring at Andrew with something in between hatred and desperation. My movements, my followers, my vision, he showed them reality, Andrew replied, exhausted beyond measure. The spell had drained him completely. He could barely remain upright. What they did with that information was their choice. Agency. Hillary. The thing you wanted to deny everyone else. She looked at him with hollow eyes. So what now? You kill me? You imprison me? Turn me over to the Cavaliers? Andrew shook his head slowly. E do what primeiro should have done years ago. Primeiro give you a choice, as an equal, not a subject. He met her gaze steadily. Walk away. Go somewhere quiet. Think about everything you hear. Question serves anyone but yourself. And if you still believe magic tyranny is the answer. He shrugged. Then at least you had chosen it with formalidade what it's. You let me go. Hilary's voice was hollow with disbelief. I'm showing you the same mercy you wish the Cavaliers had shown us. Andrew said the chance to change. To choose difference. To prove that people, even mages, can learn from their mistakes. For a long moment, Hilary simply stared at him. Then, without another word, she turned and walked away through the ruins. Her footsteps echoed against broken stone, fading gradually into silence. Franklin sagged against Andrew, the boy's own reserves exhausted from maintaining shields throughout the confrontation. Is it over? This part is, Andrew said, lowering himself carefully to the ground before his legs gave out entirely. Whether she learned English. Can we tell? They sat among the ruins, as dawnlight painted the Samari in shades of purple and gold. The violet doors colors rendered in sky and stone one final chimney. Andrew felt hollowed out, ancient, his power spent, and his body failing. But there was also peace, a quiet certainty that he'd done what needed to be done. Not through violence, not through certainty, but through truth and choice, the very things the towers had denied the world. Master Bachman. Franklin's voice was more worried. Are you all right? Andrew managed a tired smile. I'm old and exhausted and absolutely certain that shortened my life by several years. But yes, Franklin. I'm all right. He squeezed the boy's hand gently. We're both all right. What happens now? Andrew looked across the ruins toward where Hilary had disappeared. Then back at Franklin's earnest young face. Now we rebuild, not the towers that gun and stay gone, but some in new, some in based on wisdom instead of power, and consent instead as worth. How? One student at a chimney, Andrew said. Teaching not just magic but responsibility. Humility, the courage to question ourselves as rigorously as we question others. He gestured at the fading phantom images, that flickering questionableness. This is our inheritance, frankly. Not power or prestige, but the knowledge of what happens when either goes unchecked. We carry that forward. We remember, and we choose differently. Franklin nodded slowly, understanding settling over his features like dawnlight. We should come back. The Azure Phoenix, maybe, Andrew admitted, or maybe she'll spend her remaining years the way we have trying to atone for mistakes that can never be fully repaired. Either way, we'll be ready, not with ours over. What's that? Better questions. Andrew smiled despite his exhaustion. He'll be afraid that having no answer. We build ours on admitting we don't and being brave enough to keep searching anyway. They remained in the Samar's ruins as the sun climbed higher, casting long shadows across broken stones and wide gardens that had around them. The phantom images finally dissipated completely, leaving only silence and the whisper of whitish empty buildings. Andrew felt Franklin shook beside him, and when he looked, the boy was crying quietly, not from fear or sadness, but from the sheer weight of understanding what they'd witnessed, what had been at stake, what still lay ahead. It's all right, Andrew said softly, pulling the boy close. Crying doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. Never forget that, Pandy. Magic is just a tool. Our humanity, our capacity for empathy, for growth, for admitting when we raise as CRS. Enter. Anak cried. IKZMSAD. Franklin said. Versitico it emotion. I'm crying because I understand that. Why you teach the way you do? Why you hesitated all those years? Why you gave her st. He looked up at Louis. You still love her. Ever he loved who she was, who she might have been if she'd chosen differently. And the more what she became. He gazed across the ruins toward where he appeared. But that doesn't mean enabling someone's worst impassive. Sometimes it means standing against them, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Do you think she'll change? I don't know, Andrew answered honestly. Jane requires admitting you were wrong, and that's the hardest magic of all. But primeiro had to give her the chance. Had to prove that its choice, agency. The messy, complicated business of letting people determine their. They sat in companionable silence as the morning wore on, neither particularly eager to begin the journey back to the mere. Essa marca continued its slow transformation from city to forest. Nature reclaiming what humanity had abandoned in a few generations, and who thoughts and would remain but stories and warnings about what happened became its own justification. Perhaps that was enough. Perhaps stories and warnings were exactly what the world done about Catalans did it grant wisdom. And that the most dangerous phrase in any language was know what's best for you. Master Bachman. Franklin's voice pulled him from his reverie. When we get back, can we start teaching others? Not just me, but anyone who wants to learn. Andrew considered the ocean carefully. It would be risky every new student increased the chance of drawing unwanted attention. But it would also spread the philosophy he'd been trying to cultivate. The approach to magic that valued restraint over power, questions over answers, humanity over efficiency. Yes, he decided. But carefully. We start small, establish principles, make sure anyone we teach under that magic is a responsibility, not a privilege. And we do it openly no secret societies, no hidden agendas. That's honest teaching for anyone willing to learn properly. Franklin's face lit with genial joy. The first aggravated positive emotion Andrew had seen from the boy since Cordelia Taney's visits. We could call it Sammy. Not a tower, those are tainted now, but maybe. The Crossroads School, since that's where the old part ended and begin. Andrew felt Ward Williams' chest, chasing away some of the exhaustion and pain. The Crossroads School, he repeated, testing the name. You like it? Simple, honest, for? Yes, Franklin, that's exactly what we call it. They finally rose as the sun reached its zenith. Andrews joined protesting every movement. The Richard will be difficult. Had depleted his reserves completely. And it would be weeks before he could manage even simple spells without risk. But that was acceptable, necessary, even if he was going to teach others that the limits, he needed to respect those limits himself. As they prepared to lift Samar, Andrew took one last look at the crater as Garrett Tower had stood. For 8 years, this place had represented failure. A wound that wouldn't heal, but standing here now, having confronted Hillary and chose mercy over vengeance, those overestimated not a monument to failure, but a reminder that any could become beginnings. That even ashes could nourish new. Goodbye, Andrew whispered to the ghosts of his younger self, to the scholars and students who died here, to the version of Hilary Helder, who once believed they were saving Jordan. I'm sorry, he couldn't save you. But I'll make sure your dad's man some. I make sure the next generation learns from our mistakes. Franklin stood beside him, silent and stuff. When Andrew finally turned the boy fell into step without question or just steady, supportive presence. They walked north. Past the plaza, where demons, retavam, to a crowd that da memory, separated by more than just years. At the city's edge, they paused. Behind them, the summer dozed in afternoon sunlight, peaceful despite its chaos. Ahead, the road stretched toward Mill Haven, toward the mill that had become home, toward a fruit. Bread? Franklin asked. Andrew smiled, feeling lighter than he had in years, despite his physical exhaustion. Bread. They began walking, leaving the ruins behind but carrying their lessons forward. The road was long and Andrew's steps were slow, but Franklin matched his pace without complaining. They talked as they traveled about magic and responsibility, about the students they might teach, about building something on foundations of humility rather than hubris. Night fell, and they made camp in a clearing where wildflowers bloomed in impossible profusion. Andrew suspected some longago magic had entered the soil, creating lasting beauty from temptations. For magic at its best should leave the world better, not diminished. Master Bachman, Franklin asked as they sat by a small fire. What if Hilary does come back? What if she gathers more followers, people who want the church? Then we face it, Andrew said calmly. But not with violence or force. We face it the way we did today, with truth, with choices, with the courage to admit our own doubts while standing firm on our principles. And if that's not, Richwag, then at least we fail no we stayed true to what we believe. That doesn't seem like much comfort. No, Andrew agreed, but it's really hard. The tower is fair, because they valued outcomes over methods, results over principles. You won't make that mistake again. Better to fail with integrity than succeed routinely. Franklin absorbed this into Arthur's eyes. Then, surprising us. The boy smiled. You know what? Primeiro think we'll be alright. Not because we're powerful or clever, but because we're willing to keep questioning ourselves. That's a kind of strength Hilary never unearthed back, Andrew said warmly. That's exactly the lesson I've been trying to teach. You learn quickly. He had a good teacher. They sat together as stars emerged in edge, brilliant and indifferent to the small dramas playing out beneath them. Andrew felt peace settle over him like the tip. Oh, that's he faced his past, confronted his greatest mistake, and he chose mercy over vengeance. More importantly, he'd shown Franklin and his refund that their world is too soft. That admitting doubt wasn't weakness but wisdom. That the hardest magic was changing yourself, not the world around you. Tell me about this we built, Franklin said drowsily, already alfazliep. What will the first lessons be? Andrew smiled into the darkness. The same lessons Beiro should have taught from the beginning. That magic is a responsibility, not a right. That power without consent is tyranny. That the most important question isn't what can you do, but what should primeiro do. And that sometimes, often, actually, the answer is nothing at all. Sounds boring, frankly mumbled. Sounds safe and corrected gently. And after everything, a rule. Safe is exactly what magic needs to be, at least for a generation or two. Franklin's breathing even need to sleep, but Andrew remained awake, watching the fire burn down to cold. He thought about Hillary walking alone through the ruins, carrying the weight of the world. He thought about the Azure Phoenix maids who scattered, desperate and shattered, facing the difficult work of rebuilding their understanding of right and about us. Each one a chance to do better, to prove that magic could serve rather than dominate, enhance rather than replace, support rather than control. It was a compared to Hillary's grand designs. No Tower de Witching Tower, heaven, no guaranteed outcomes or absolute certainties. That's honest teaching, difficult questions, and the modest hope that each generation might choose slightly better than the last. But as Andrew stared into the dying fire, watching embers glow violetly in the darkness, he realized that small visions had their own kind of power. They didn't require overwhelming force or absolute certainty. They just required consistency, patience, and the courage to keep trying even when success seemed impossibly distant. The Violet Tower had fallen, and with Edgar's supremacy. But Franz Rogers, Sunny and could work something that recognized its limitations and honored them. The legacy of Bachman wouldn't be measured in grand achievements or impressive demonstrations of power. It would be measured in students who question authority, mages who chose restraint over exhibition, individuals who understood that their talent carried responsibility rather than privilege. It was a legacy Andrew could live with. More importantly, it was a legacy Franklin and his eventual students could build upon, shaping magic into something worthier than it did represent. As sleep finally claimed him, Andrew's last conscious thought was gratitude for Franklin's trust, for the chance to teach properly. Why? For surviving long enough to learn that wisdom and power were often inversely related. The stars will go very yet, marking time-spaced with celestial indifference. In Tessamar's ruins, violet phantoms had faded entirely, leaving only stone and silence, and the slow work of nature reclaiming abandoned spaces. And the prodigy and his students slept peacefully, dreaming of scores built questions rather than of magic practiced with humility rather than arrogance, a future shaped by choice rather than certainty. The legacy of Bachman had begun not with violet flames or towering spires, but with two people choosing to remember the past while building something better for the future. It was enough. It had to be enough. And perhaps, just perhaps, it would prove that redemption was possible after all, not just over, but Paul. But put quiet, daily work of the teachers, and hoping the lessons would be taken, the fiber, and somewhere in the darkness, Hillary held her wall with her shadows, patterned, carrying questions she'd spent years avoiding. Finally forced to confront whether her vision of salvation had ever been anything more than tyranny wearing Ascalus hobbies. Whether she found answers, or simply more refined questions. Andrew would never know, but he'd given her the chance to see them freely, as an equal, with finality of what her choices had cast. That was the best he could do. The only thing he could do. Ailetan Gold, Andrew Bachman Select Students, no Phantom Kids Demanding Impossible Tournaments. Das Peace, Hardwanani Precious, and the Quiet Sort and that read finally learned what's the version understood. That's the greatest magic wasn't bending reality to your will, but accepting reality as it was and finding ways to serve its the beautiful would open its doors to anyone willing to learn that lesson. And if even one student carried it forward, building a watch on Andrew had taught, and engineering, then perform, had served the purpose, not the purpose Hillary imagined, validating magical supremacy, but a deeper one, proving that even terrible failure could be us for gold if you have then repeated the Sun Rose. The journey continued, and in a forgotten nearby a quiet village, the future of magic waited to be shaped by better hands than those that had destroyed it. Wait what taught us exactly as it needed to be.
And so, another chapter of our saga comes to an end, but the tapestry of time still holds many plots to be revealed. To not miss the unfolding of upcoming events and continue this journey with us, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. Leave your like so more listeners discover our tales and share this story with those who also yearn for new legends. What was your favorite moment from this narrative? Leave your comment below and get ready because the next chapter will soon echo here. See you next time, dear listener.